Save this video because I'm going to answer 20 of the most common networking questions that I get. I'm Greg, I'm the Introverted Networker, and in this episode of the Introverted Networker video newsletter, I'm going to go through 20 questions I get very frequently about networking and a very short answer to each one of them. Now, for each one of these, I'm also doing a longer video, which goes into more depth and detail. And so I've created a YouTube playlist called 20 Most Common Networking Questions and how to answer each one. You can follow that along. It'll be the link in the comments. I'll also add this one to the playlist as well. But each video will go into more detail. But I just want to run through these really fast. So if you just wanted a quick answer and to hear what the questions are, maybe your question's in here. So it's a really fast way to get an answer. If you're interested in learning more, subscribe to the channel. I have all my videos there that go into all the details about my networking process. Also, I have a link to my newsletter, which is a great thing to subscribe to because each Saturday I put out a new issue of the Introverted Networker with all my best tips and tricks and lots of other links to great resources for networking, for my courses, for my playbook, and coming soon, my paid community. So we're going to jump into this. You're going to see me kind of look over a little bit at my laptop to kind of make sure I remember what questions I'm on. But let's just jump in, and I'm going to give you quick questions, quick answers. So question number one, do I really have to network to be successful? No, but you do need relationships in your life. And networking is really about developing professional relationships. You are going to need professional relationships as you go through your career. So however you decide to create those relationships, I would encourage you to do that. But if you don't want to go to networking events, you certainly don't have to. There's other ways to do it. Question number two, what if I hate small talk? Skip it. Don't do it, right? Small talk is just talking about the weather or what's going on. Get into deeper questions. Ask better questions like, what is somebody working on? What are they excited about next month? What was the biggest thing that happened to them last month? What are they most looking forward to? Get into deeper questions so that you don't have to deal with the small talk as much, because a lot of people don't really like that. So I would just say, skip the small talk. Jump right into getting to know people. You don't have to do it in an intrusive or invasive way, but you can do it in a meaningful way that helps develop relationships. Okay, question number three. How do I start a conversation without feeling fake? Be curious about the other person. Ask them questions about themselves. Ask them specifically about where they work, what they're doing, and just be curious and keep asking them questions about themselves. If you ask them about themselves, it's not going to feel fake or awkward to them. It's actually going to feel good. All right. How do I end a conversation gracefully without being rude? Sometimes you're in a conversation in person at an event, or you're just somewhere with other adults and you start talking to people and you kind of need to get out of the conversation. So, one of the things you can say is, hey, it's been really great talking to you. I'd love to continue this conversation. I'll send you an email or reach out to you on LinkedIn. Or you can say something like, hey, I set a goal for myself of trying to connect with 5 different people. I would love to continue this conversation with you later on, but for right now, I want to go and talk to some other people. So you don't have to be rude about it. You should certainly try to explain what's going on and tell them how much you enjoy talking to them, and most people will be okay with that. Okay. What do I say when someone asks, what do you do? And I freeze up. Okay, here's the simple formula for this. What you can say is, I teach blank how to do blank. The first blank is, I teach a group of people how to do some skill or something. And so whatever you do at work, whoever your main stakeholders are, your main customers, the main people you serve, I teach those people how to do something, whatever your area of expertise is. When you do that, you just say that, and people are normally going to say, that's interesting, tell me more. And then you can continue that conversation. Okay. Number 6, what if I don't have anything interesting to say? The key in networking is you don't have to be interesting, you just have to be interested. And if you are interested in other people and ask them questions about themselves, they are going to find you very interesting. So don't worry about what you're going to say, just think about the better questions you're going to ask people in order to get them to talk about themselves. Okay. Number 7, how do I network if I'm not looking for a job? Networking when you're not looking for a job is the easiest kind of networking you can do, because it's a good way to build relationships without you needing to ask anybody for anything. You can help a tremendous number of people when you're just trying to connect, check in, catch up, develop relationships, and you're under no pressure to make it go faster. Now, it's also difficult to do because there's no pressure pushing you to do it. So if you're going to be networking when you don't need a job, you're going to have to come up with a habit or a routine that pushes you to connect with people so you continue to have these conversations. But honestly, it's the best time to network. Number 8, is it even networking if I'm talking to people I already know? Yes, and it's the best place to start. You should start your networking with people you already know. They're called your dormant ties, and they're the key to getting introduced to new people. So it's a great time. It's a great way to network. So start with people you already know because they're going to respond to your email or your LinkedIn message or your text. Then you can have a very low risk, easy conversation, and then you move on to talking to them, and eventually, hopefully, they'll introduce you to somebody new. So that's how you grow your network, by starting with people you already know. Number 9, what if I feel like I'm bothering people when I reach out? You're not bothering people, you're just reconnecting. If you just reaching out one time out of the blue, chances are most people are going to be happy to hear from you, especially if it's somebody you already know. I always tell people to think about it from the other person's perspective, or put yourself in their shoes. If you were somebody and you got an email from somebody you'd worked with in the past and you hadn't talked to in a while, and you generally had a good relationship with that person, wouldn't you be excited to get that email? Like, yes, we're gonna have a conversation and I didn't have to do all the work. So in most cases, you're not bothering anybody. You're actually doing them a favor by reaching out and saying like, hey, let's reconnect. I'd love to have a conversation and catch up. Number 10, how do I follow up after meeting someone without it feeling awkward or pushy? Again, put yourself in the other person's shoes. What kind of message would you like to get? If it's a simple message like, hey, it was really great talking to you. I would love to continue this conversation. Let's follow up in a few weeks or a couple months. You'd probably be like, okay, that's fine. That sounds good. I think it gets pushy or awkward if you keep sending them messages over and over and over again. So I think you have to understand, you have to manage it a little. You have to have a little bit of tact, and you can follow up right away. That's a great time to do it. Say, hey, I love this. Let's follow up in a couple of weeks. I want to check in on where you are on that project we talked about, or I want to update you on what I've been working on. So let's plan to talk again in like a month. That way you're setting the expectation. Then you reach out. You're kind of keeping the schedule, and it keeps the conversation going. Number 11, what if I go to an event and I don't know anyone there? Now, if you decide you have to go to a networking event, that's fine. A lot of people do. If you go, I would recommend you try to connect with people before you get there. Find out who else is going, see if you can find one other person. But if you go and you absolutely know nobody there, a couple things you could do. You could try to meet the organizers of the event, or number 2, find the other person who's standing by themselves. Okay, so somebody else is standing alone probably, or just showed up and don't know anybody. Walk over and say, mind if I join you? Or, hey, I see you're here. Doesn't look like we were with a group. I'm Greg. Nice to meet you. Don't be weird about it. Just try to find the other person, because chances are there's somebody else who's in your shoes who's also there alone, and they don't know anybody either, so you guys can kind of team up. But that's if you decide you really need to go. There's a couple other ways you can get around that, but that's my advice for that one. Number 13, how do I keep a conversation going without running out of things to say? Again, think about asking the other person about themselves. You're going to be thinking of questions you can ask. And so it's a good idea before you go into conversations to have sort of a few go-to questions. Like, again, what's something that's really interesting that's happening next month? Or one that I've heard recently that I really like is, what's something that most people don't know about you, but you wish they did? That's a good one, because you're saying, but you wish they did. That's opening up for them to say, here's something I'm willing to share. Right? If you just say, what's something people don't know about you, there might be things that they're like, I don't really want to tell anybody that. So you add that second piece on there so that they say, hey, I really wish people knew that I was an amazing karaoke singer. I don't know, I'm making something up. But the key here is think about better questions to ask. And so you don't have to worry about running out of things to say, because the other people are going to talk. And as the other people are talking, you're going to continue to ask them questions about themselves. That's how you want to be in all of these conversations, is asking them more questions and letting them talk than you trying to think of all the things you're going to say. Number 14, what if I'm naturally quiet or introverted? How do I compete with extroverts? You don't compete with extroverts. This is not a competition. Introverts have a lot of strengths when it comes to networking. One of those is one-on-one and interactions and listening. So if you're very quiet and introverted, chances are you like to listen to other people. This kind of goes back to the last question I answered, which is ask more questions and listen more. People are going to enjoy that. They're going to love that, especially if they've been talking to a bunch of introverts who can't stop talking about themselves. Now, I don't have a thing against extroverts. I know lots of extroverts. I love lots of extroverts, but a lot of time extroverts like to talk. And that's fine. Let them talk. But you don't have to be somebody who's trying to keep up with them in terms of talking. Be the person who's listening, the person who's guiding the discussion through your questions. That's going to make you somebody that people really like to talk to. So again, you're not competing with extroverts. You're just trying to learn how to grow connections in your own way. Number 15, how do I make real connections instead of surface level chats? So surface level chats, they're going to be your first kind of interactions. And yes, you're going to have to go deeper, but the questioning is something that helps you get down to the deeper levels with people. But really listening to people allows people to kind of open up and tell you a little bit more about themselves. But if you're going to let people tell you a little bit more about themselves, you're going to have to be willing to tell them a little bit about yourself too. So if you want to go beyond the surface level, you're going to have to be willing to open up a little and give people a little bit more of who you are. And you have to decide if you trust them or not. I think the going deeper happens over time. It doesn't have to happen right away. It doesn't have to happen right out of the gate. You don't have to reveal all your deep, dark secrets to somebody on the first conversation. Something that happens over time as you get to know each other. But as you let people into your world a little bit, then you're going to get to those deeper levels. Okay. Number 16. Is it selfish to reach out just because I might need help someday? No, it's not. It's human, right? We as humans need each other. We live in societies. We live in social groups. We're social animals. We all need other people in order to survive. And so when you go into this, you can't be worried about people thinking, oh, you're just reaching out to me because you're going to need something. I think most people kind of expect that. Now, if you go into this and you're more interested in the other people up front and you ask them about themselves and you let them talk and you listen and you try to give them something, give them an advice, introduction, recommendation, something like that, or just give them your attention, they're going to be more inclined to want to help you. You're going to be somebody that they would enjoy helping or they see value in helping. So at some point they're going to say, how can I help you? And in reality, they do want to help you because if you've helped them, they feel like they owe you. And we don't like to feel like we owe people, whether we think about it or not. So they're going to want to balance out the karmic scales. So they're going to want to help you. So I think the key here is don't feel bad about reaching out to people. Don't feel bad about developing relationships. We all kind of understand that relationships should be mutually beneficial. So if you're going to help them, they're going to want to help you. So don't feel bad about that. I think generally most people understand that you're trying to help each other. Okay, number 17. What do I say in a LinkedIn message to someone I haven't talked to in years? Be short and honest. Look, you both know you haven't talked in years, but just say, hey, it's been a long time since we talked. I can't believe we haven't been able to keep up. Or, don't even say that. I would just say, hey, it's been a while since we talked. Would love to get back in touch. Let's chat. Or, hey, it's been a long time since we worked together at such and such a company. Thought of you the other day. Would love to find out what's going on with you. Let's catch up. Just be like that. You don't have to apologize overly apologize or apologize profusely about not keeping in touch. Just say, hey, we haven't kept in touch. Now let's get in touch. Let's have a conversation. I've talked to so many people throughout the years who have said, I reached out to somebody I haven't talked to in 15 years and it was the greatest conversation I've had in a long time. We caught up, we helped each other. People like to hear from people from their past. And again, think about it if it's you. If you were sitting there and you got a message from somebody you generally liked from the past that you hadn't talked to in a long time and they said, hey, I would love to catch up. Wouldn't you feel great? And again, I would feel relieved because I didn't have to put the effort out to do the outreach. So if you're the person who's doing the outreach, people are going to really appreciate that. So don't feel bad and don't apologize. Don't even talk about the amount of time. Just say, hey, would love to catch up, and then pick up and have the conversation. I think it'll be a lot less stressful than you really think it'll be. Okay. Number 18, how do I stay in touch with people without being annoying? yeah, again, think about how often you'd like to get contacted. And if it's, every couple months and you're not actively working with somebody on something, how often would you need to be in touch to update them? It depends on how close you are. I have some people that I talk to probably every month. I have some people that I talk to every 3 months. I have some people I talk to every 6 months. It just kind of depends on where you are in the relationship. But I think the key here is, if you're not really trying to work on a project together or work on creating a client relationship, or they're not somebody that you work with actively, you can kind of need to, like I said, approach it with a little bit of tact. But that doesn't mean you have to wait, 10 more years before you get back in touch with them. In general, I would say probably for most people, if they're just kind of a networking contact that you're just kind of trying to keep up with, I would say 4 to 6 months is probably okay. Unless you want to share something with them that you found that's really interesting to them, then reach out and say, hey, I found this, I wanted to share it with you. But do you need to do that every week? No, you don't, right? So again, use your brain, think about what you would want to get from people or how often you'd like to hear from people, and kind of use that as a guideline. All right, number 19, what if I don't know what I want from a networking conversation? So this kind of, you go in and you're like, I got introduced to some person. I don't really know what they do. I don't really know how we can help each other. But go in and ask questions. Be curious. I would say keep the door open, keep an open mind, and just kind of see where it goes. If it comes to the end of the conversation and you both kind of realize that we work in different spaces, we talk about different things, there's probably not a lot that we're going to collaborate on, then, maybe you don't keep up with that person and it was still just a good conversation and you met a new person. I think anytime you come out of these conversations, you should try to come out with something that looks like this. You should know what that person is trying to do or what would help that person, or who the people are that person wants to connect with. And if you haven't gotten that through the conversation, just ask. Say, who are the people that you would want to connect with, or who should I be on the lookout for in my life so that if I meet one of these people, I can connect them with you. And do the same thing for them, right? So they're going to say, well, okay, that's great. Who do you want to connect with? You've got to be able to say, here's the people I'm looking to connect with. If you meet any of those people, be sure to send them my way. At the very least, you've put that kind of out into the world. Maybe it'll help you, maybe it won't. Okay, number 20, how do I turn networking into something that feels natural instead of a chore? This is probably the hardest part of this, is you have to develop a networking habit. You have to find time in your life to network a little bit, right? You have to take small actions, small steps. You have to send that one LinkedIn message a day or a week, that one email a day or a week. You have to have that one call every week. You have to find ways to build it into your routines and create a habit so that you're consistently networking. That's the way you keep meeting people. That's the way you keep adding to your network. And that's the way you keep it growing. And then it doesn't feel like a chore that you have to do, send out 20 connections in one weekend. Do it a little bit at a time, do it consistently. It won't feel so overwhelming. It'll become natural. And before you know it, you're gonna have more networking opportunities than you know what to do with. Those are my 20 common networking questions that people give me. My quick answers, like I said, there's going to be an in-detailed video for each one of these, but I just wanted to kind of really quickly rapid fire go through these. But like I said, these will be in the YouTube playlist on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my newsletter, The Introverted Networker, where I share my best tips and tricks every single week. Link is going to be in the description. So take those answers. Hopefully some of that helped you. You got something out of that. Go out there this week, meet some interesting people. Remember, always be connecting.